Hey, so today I'm gonna make a video showing how to camp in cold weather. This is something that I've been struggling with for a while, but I think I've got it figured out. And as long as you don't mind being a little bulky, you can spend not a whole lot of money. So while I'm talking, I'm gonna set up some gear. This is my Walmart tent. This is the one-person backpacker tent. I like to keep my tents packed inside the ground cover. So this here is a Harbor Freight 4x6 tarp, and it's just barely big enough to get the job done. So what I like about the Walmart tent is it's cheap. It's $25. That's what I paid for it. I think most people are going to spend probably $30 on this thing. Everything that you see here, including my tent, my sleeping bag, my inflatable air mattress, and my insulated sleeping pad, is about $117. Which is a pretty good deal. So the reason I'm shooting this video right now is it is Thursday, March 2nd, 2023, and we have an epic amount of rain coming tonight. We have 2 inches of rain. We have 20 to 30 mile an hour gusts, and actually 20 to 30 mile an hour winds gusting to 45. And more importantly, tomorrow night it's going to get to 32 degrees. So not only do we get to see how dry this tent is going to stay, but we're also going to see how warm my sleeping pad is going to get. Presuming, it does stay warm. It's yet untested, it's not fully scientific. But the whole concept here is to figure out if I can stay warm with my sleeping gear. Now, I do a lot of cold weather camping. And, sometimes I'm cold at night, and I don't know why. Sometimes I'm okay, but a lot of times I get cold. So, we're going to do this test in my backyard. And if you don't like watching me set up my tent, just go ahead and fast forward through this. But for those of you who haven't seen the cheapy Walmart tent go up, it's actually a great tent. You'd be hard pressed to find another tent for $25, $30 that performs as well as this tent does. And it goes up pretty fast. I don't think that there's any tent out on the market that can beat this tent. It's waterproof. It gets the job done. It's not glorious. There's not a whole lot of room. But you can spend a whole lot more money and more or less get the same kind of performance. Oops, did I mess this up? Yes, I did. Okay, we are almost done. Okay. Here is my dry bag. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm going to move my camera back a little bit. There we go. Anyway, so this is... There's the tent. Well, let's put the rain fly on, because we know rain's coming. So let's do that. I always mess this up, but if you look for the logo, you kind of get where the curved opening happens. This tent has nice little hooks. So I'll tell you the only thing I don't like about this tent is that once you put an air mattress in here, there's really not a lot of room in it. Goes in there. Alright, this tent does come with 6 stakes. Let's see if I still have them. Yes, I do. Since it's going to be 40 mile an hour winds, 45 gusting, it's probably a good idea to stake this thing down. Okay. And as you can see, there's just a little bit of ground tarp hanging out. You want to make sure you tuck that in, because if you don't, it'll make a lake underneath your tent. Okay. So there we go. So, as you can see, it's set up, ready to go. So here is my Coleman sleeping bag. This thing is monstrous. You can see how big this dry bag is, and it is stuffed. And I'm a big guy, and I like big sleeping bags so I can move around. This thing's rated for 20 degrees. I've slept in it and as low as about 25. And you know, sometimes I'm warm and sometimes I'm not. It always mystifies me. But I think the purpose of this video is I have it figured out how to stay warm. Is you'll need a thermal sleeping pad, an insulated sleeping pad. However, most of those insulated sleeping pads are too thin, and I'm not willing to give up my air mattress. So here we have, oh, this is a Walmart air mattress. This is the single size. I paid $8 for it, but now they're like $12. Make sure you get the valve on there. If you don't have one of these, you're missing out. This is the bomb. Inflates this mattress, and I guess you could time it. There you go. What was it? Not even a minute. Now the trick with these is you don't want to inflate them too hard, because then they're not soft, then they're hard. Then you kind of ruin the effect. So let's squeeze them in. It does fit in there. There we go. And as you can see, that takes up the whole match, or the whole inside of the tent. There's a few inches right here, so almost the whole tent. So this is what I always slept on when I was camping in the cold weather, and I always thought the air would insulate me. Everyone says the air is a good insulator. The problem with that is the air inside the sleeping, or inside this air mattress, let's say it's 27 degrees outside, the air inside here is 27 degrees also. And the only thing that's insulating your body from the 27 degree air in this air mattress is this little furry piece of PVC, which has an R value of about 0. So what's happening is you may think that you're staying warm because you're off the ground, but in reality, the 27 degree air that's inside this air mattress is robbing all the heat out of your body, and it's going down into the air mattress. And that explains why sometimes when you're sleeping and you've got a heavy sleeping bag and you're all bundled up and you're still freezing cold and you don't understand why, it's because all the heat that you have is going up below you. Now the sleeping bag, even if you have a nice one, which I have a pretty nice one, it's huge, it works by the loft captures air particles and it holds that air still inside the insulation, and that's more or less what keeps you warm. The problem with the sleeping bag is whatever sleeping bag's below you, you're compressing the fill, and the R value of the sleeping bag goes way, way down. So basically what's below you on the sleeping bag really isn't keeping you warm. So the only thing that's going to keep you warm is foam. And this thing right here, it's a monster. I'm a big guy, so I want a big one. Those little high-end backpacker insulated sleeping pads, those are great if you're a small guy. Maybe you're 140 pounds and you can sleep on 1.5 inches of insulated air mattress. I can't do it. I've tried. 2 inches doesn't work. 4 inches doesn't work. So I picked this one up on Walmart, and I'll put the links to everything I have in the comment section. But this one is full of memory foam. It's self-inflating, and all you have to do is roll it out. It won't roll out, but you roll it out. Oh, that's why it won't roll out. You got to open up the valves, and it takes about an hour for this thing to fully inflate. I don't know if you could see it, but it's air sucking in right now. But we're gonna put that on top. So now what I have is, I have a 40-inch wide air mattress. This is 28 inches wide. This is 2 inches thick of insulation. It's 3 inches thick where the head is. It says online that it has an R value of theoretically 8 or 9. Yeah, I'm thinking it's probably half that. So I think the way it works is for every 1 inch of closed cell foam, you get about an R3 value. So this is a little over 2 inches, so maybe I'm getting an R5 or 6. Up where the head is, maybe it's R7 or 8. Anyway, anything R5 or more is what they consider warm enough for winter camping. So would I just sleep on one of these when I'm camping? No, I wouldn't do that. Nor would I want to sleep on an air mattress, but 2 on top of each other, that sounds like a pretty good ride. So while that's inflating, I'm going to throw in my big giant sleeping bag. Okay. And there we go. Now, one thing they tell you about cold weather sleeping is sometimes when it's cold and you're freezing cold and you want to tuck into a ball, there's a tendency to bury your head underneath there. And this thing, I think a 7-foot tall person could fit in there. They tell you not to do that. And the reason why is if you bury your head underneath there, you might feel warm in the short term, but eventually enough moisture is going to come out of your mouth, and that moisture is going to dampen up your sleeping bag. And once it gets wet enough, it starts losing its R value, and you're going to start getting colder than you should be. So with this kind of sleeping bag, it has the draw feature. Just draw it around your head, cinch it up just so your mouth and nose are available. Make sure you're going to have a good winter hat and you'll be in good shape. Now, another thing I like, and if you don't have one of these, you're missing out. This is my inflatable camping pillow. And that's what it looks like, but it packs so small. It does blow up. Unless I got the wrong valve. Okay. There we go. And I know it's not insulated, but if you want to wrap a shirt around this or stick it in your sweater, you got that going on. But I'm usually incredibly comfortable with this, and I like how it little slopes for my head. There's a little pocket there. So we'll stick him in there. So, and then this is my dry bag that I go floating down rivers with. All this gear, the $8 sleeping or air mattress, $30 air pad or insulated sleeping pads, $25 tent, $54 sleeping bag. This is a $10 pillow. The entire thing you see here, my entire tent sleeping system, came to $127. So it's a pretty good deal. So tonight we get the big storm. We get 2 inches of rain, the 45-mile-an-hour gusts, and then tomorrow night it's going to drop to 32 degrees, and I'm going to sleep in it at least tomorrow night, maybe tonight. We'll see how I feel tonight, but really this is all about, I want to see if I'm warm at 32 degrees. I used the same system a month ago without this pad, and I was actually pretty cold, and it was only like 39 degrees, and I couldn't figure out why. I believe it's because you really need these insulated pads. I'm securing the wind shut so I don't forget later. They're closing the valves. Okay. So, there it is. I'm just going to set this outside my tent. Okay, so here we are the next day. It rained about 2 inches of rain. I thought for sure this thing would be sitting in the lake. It kind of is sitting in the lake. Sort of look at it. But anyway, it's still here. It survived the wind, although it is somewhat protected. I'm not going to go in there now because it's kind of a muddy mess. But tonight I'm going to walk out here, and it's supposed to get to 31 degrees. I'm going to check to see how well it's dried on the inside. Hopefully it's dry. You can see quite a bit of mud splashed up on it. So that'll be the test to see if we're warm. I'm reasonably certain that it's going to be dry on the inside, although I don't like how this is pressing up against the move. Okay, well, it's like 11 o'clock at night, maybe 11:30. I'm gonna come out and sleep in this thing. So I'm in my backyard It's 38 degrees. Let's hope it's dry in here. I'm pretty sure it's going to be just perfectly fine. It's been raining pretty much 24 hours. I think we got 2 or 3 inches of rain. I'm pretty much standing on mud. And holding the camera in one hand, operating the zipper in the other. So, ideal. Let's look for water. Oh. Well, it's the essence of moisture. It's probably came in off the door. Okay, the floor looks dry. There's no puddles. Alright, I think we're looking good. I'm gonna sneak in here. So here's my tiny little tent. Actually, it's best if you go in feet first. So I'm gonna set the camera down. Okay, I got my Crocs on, so they can live out here. So I am on my Intex air mattress on a sleeping pad. And it's going to go down to 32 degrees. Alright, camera, you can come in here. Okay. Yeah, there's not much to see in here. Anyway, it's going to go to 32, 33 degrees tonight. And I'm going to see how comfortable I'm going to be with the sleeping pad. Insulated. R8, they say. I think it's probably 4 or 5. Alright, we'll report back. Okay, it's like 5 o'clock. It's 36 degrees outside. And I am warm and cozy. So this is a huge, huge success. Slept like a baby out here. Anyway, it's time for me to pee. So I'm gonna mosey inside, get it done, and I'll probably jump in bed with my big warm dogs. And anyway, I'll review this in the morning, but the sleeping pad, game changer. Definitely gotta do this. Hey, so I slept in this tent last night. Woke up at 5 a.m., had to use the bathroom. Decided to just go back into my regular bed. But there was frost everywhere. So, did it hit 32? Probably. I think it said 36 on my phone app. But anyway, it was cold. I was toasty warm. Pillow worked out great. Sleeping bag was awesome. What made it really key was this sleeping mat. You know, this insulated sleeping pad. If you don't have one and you're doing cold weather camping, definitely get one. Cheapy air mattress. Fits in there just barely. Put that underneath your sleeping mat. Anyway, it doesn't have to cost a whole lot of money. This whole rig, everything you see here, is probably about $130. So, the tent, the only issue I had with the tent was this door had some condensation on it. Everything else kind of has mesh. This is like the one area that doesn't really have a lot of mesh. So this was a little bit moist from my breath, but everything else was dry. I haven't seen any water in here. Ah, there's my glasses that I lost. Yay. But, no. The inside of the tent looks dry. I didn't feel anything wet, and We had over 2 inches of rain. This was all a big sea of mud and standing water. If there is water in the tent, there's no sign of water in the tent, nor was I wet. So, anyway, hope you enjoyed this video review of my cold weather camping sleeping setup on a budget. Thanks. Oh, hey, one more thing I wanted to add before I forget. This sleeping bag, if you've never slept on one, it's a unique experience. After like 15 minutes, it felt like I was sleeping on a heating pad that was plugged in. It was that warm. Even though it was in the 30s, I was tempted to unzip my sleeping bag and just kind of let the air come in because I was that warm. So this one here is 28 inches wide. Maybe I said that earlier. Most of these sleeping pads that you see, they're like 20 inches wide. I'm too big of a guy for that. You know, I'm at 265, 6'3", and those little bitty hiker pads, I just don't think are going to fit me. This one fits me pretty good. So it's 28 by, I don't know, it's 7 feet long or something like that. So, anyway, that should conclude the video unless I think of something else to say.